What you are about to hear might just keep you up tonight. Welcome to Hauntcore Vault. I am the storyteller, and I'll help you fall asleep. If you are new, please subscribe to the channel. Let's dive in the vault.
I was a janitor for a little bit a while ago, in a building that was only accessible by a key fob. You'd need one to get into the front door, and you'd have to use it again to enter the offices. The shift was from 4 p.m. to midnight, and if I finished early, I got to leave while still being paid until midnight. Each night, I'd hang out with my coworkers in the office until 5 p.m. Then we'd all head out to our buildings. I'd empty all the trash bins first, vacuum and mop where needed, take care of any scheduled cleanings like steam cleaning the curtains, and I'd hit the bathrooms last since everyone would normally be out of the office at that time. Most nights, I was finished between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. There was a night when I was finishing up, and all I had to do was clean the bathrooms. I did the woman's room without any issues, and then I headed into the men's room. When I went in, the lights turned on because of that sensor. And there was some man I had never seen before just standing in the middle of the bathroom. I have no idea who he was or how long he was in there, but he had to have stood still long enough for the lights to go off and then remain motionless so they wouldn't turn back on. When I saw him, I just turned around and left for the night.
My colleague was guarding this quite big complex in which the security system was not working. So they had 2 guards stationed at 2 different locations in this building. My colleague gets a call on the radio from the other night guard that he's hearing someone trying to break in. So my colleague rushes over there as fast as he can. Now, this building was quite the maze and required a number of keys in order to get from where he was to where the other guard was. And he finds out that he's been given wrong sets of keys. So for him to get to where the break-in is happening, he now has to go around the outside of the building. This took some extra time, and when he arrived, he found the other guard knocked down in a pool of blood. He had tried to stop the 3 guys doing the break-in by himself and got rewarded with a hard pipe bashed to his head. My colleague pressed his SRT, the panic alarm, and tried to tend to his friend's wound. It took about 5 minutes for the police and EMT to get there, but he said it felt like it took hours since he was pretty sure his colleague was going to die. He ended up in a coma for 5 days and also lost some of his eyesight in his left eye, but other than that, he recovered quite well. No one got caught, since the attackers just hit him blindsided and decided to get the hell out of there once they clocked him. My colleagues still work as a night guard, but the other guy that got a pipe to his head had a few months to recover and now works as an EMT instead. In 2018, I was working security at a fuel station where trucks would fill up to take fuel to service stations in New South Wales. One night, I was on the overnight shift, and it wasn't too bad as you have trucks coming and going all night, so it never got boring. Sometime after midnight, a trucker came to the office and he asked me to help with something. He told me when he pulled over last, he got back in the truck and realized his storage space cover had been opened. He was worried that someone may have messed around with his stuff and wanted to clear it before bringing his truck into the station. I go with him and he looks around the truck, nothing out of the ordinary. He's now about to open the storage department when we hear something hit the door from the inside. Now we're pretty on edge. He opens the door, and we see the bottom of a pair of shoes. A teenage boy then pulls himself out of the small space, and we've tried grabbing him before he makes a run for it. We chased him down to the on-site crew room, but because it was after midnight, I'd already locked it up. He then begins to swing a massive tree branch at us. I'm trying to call the cops and control the truckie from going up and attacking the kid, all while this boy is trying to belt us with a stick. As I hung up from the police, the boy climbed over the gate but would have been completely cut up by the barbed wire. We saw him run into the brushway and disappear into the night. Going back to the truckie's bag had all been open, but because of how narrow the space was, we figured the boy wouldn't have been able to look into the bag and it would have been too dark for him to find anything. Police came and got the CCTV footage, but never heard anything back from them. My boss and I would often talk about how batshit crazy it was for him to climb up and over the barbed wire and then run off like it was nothing. Of course, I've been in more serious situations, but this one left me pretty shaken up. Great conversation starter for the night, though, and not ashamed to say I locked the office door between trucks.
During my time as a sheriff's deputy, I worked as a night guard for a local branch of a massive investment firm for extra cash, and worked the 4 p.m., 12 a.m. shift on weekends. There was only 2 guards on shift at any time, and because it was a financial building, they allowed those of us certified to be armed if we had the certificates. The facility was 3 buildings across a 4-acre property, was gated, and was on the tail end of an industrial park on the border of a really rough neighborhood where break-ins and shootings were not uncommon. One night, I was on guard during December. A lot of the desks were covered in Christmas decorations and wrapping paper, and a lot of the employees would leave little treats and bowls of candy out for us to thank us for being there for them. We all really appreciated it, and it helped take our minds off the long hours while we were there alone, and it reminded us of why we did it. That particular night, the other guard I was with was a fellow soldier with me in the National Guard, so we both knew we were trained and had each other's backs, which had me pretty at ease as I walked down the long, dark, empty hallways with my flashlight. Suddenly, my radio lit up, and my buddy tells me the cameras in one of the cubicle areas was feeding black, and he thinks the lights went out, and my job was to walk over there and reset the breaker and get the lights back on. I turned around and began to walk down the hallway. It was absolutely pitch black. No service lights, no door lights, no faint glow of computers left on. Nothing. The air felt cold. My flashlight felt darker than normal. Something wasn't right. My heartbeat began to speed up as I remembered that the breaker room was all the way in the back, near the server, and I had to walk down nearly 40 rows of cubicles to get there. I listened carefully in case it was someone versus something that caused it, and I kept hearing this odd clicking sound as I began to slowly walk through the cubicle row. Suddenly, I saw a silhouette crouched down between 2 cubicles in the back. I knelt down and drew my gun, thinking I caught someone in the building. I pinged the radio twice to signal my buddy to get 911 on standby, and began to slowly walk towards it, issuing verbal commands. "Stand up! Face me! Now!" I yelled at the silhouette, wondering why it wasn't moving. As my flashlight hit it, it was a goddamned clown statue holding a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. I laughed and holstered my gun. My hands were shaking. I was sweaty. I genuinely was happy I didn't have to use force or possibly take a life that night. I felt so relieved. I walked up to it, planning to move it back inside of a cubicle to get it out of our way. Suddenly, the little fucker lit up. It laughed loudly and sharply. I took off running like a little bitch. The thing absolutely caught me off guard and scared the living shit out of me.
I've caught bums in our dumpster, crackheads on our roof. We even had a multiple shooting in the apartments nearby. Nothing scared me as much as that fucking clown laughing at me, eyes and nose glowing red. I ran all the way back to the front desk and made my buddy get the lights in there. I'm not even scared of clowns normally, but that one in particular would continue to creep me out for the rest of the time I worked there. Fuck that clown!